Hello, I'm Diana Upton-Hill.
And I'm Erica Good.
And you're watching Season 2 of Dutch Country Kitchen.
Yes.
Welcome again to my kitchen.
Thank you.
I am thrilled about today's episode. It is going to be one of my very favorite things to eat. It's a type of a bread.
Yes.
Yes.
It's dinner rolls, and these are the homemade dinner rolls. They're not thick. They are light and fluffy and amazing.
I love this, and we're homemade. This is totally from scratch.
Yes.
Nothing against the frozen varieties. There's some great stuff out there, but to do this from scratch, I'm really excited to maybe try out some myself.
Yes. So growing up, I watched my mom make dinner rolls for Sunday lunches and holidays, and they were so good. And of course, I got to eat them too, and they're amazing. So I'm excited to share that knowledge with you.
Yes, and we're not just making dinner rolls today either, right?
Yes.
We have little extra add-ons.
Mm-hmm. We're serving it with Amish roll butter, which is so good. And also Levi's favorite is cinnamon sugar. We're going to make some of that. And he likes plenty of cinnamon in his cinnamon sugar.
Okay, so we're heavy on the cinnamon today.
Yes.
Okay.
And one of our most popular sellers at the store in jams is Mrs. Miller's Black Raspberry Jam. So we're going to sample that too.
Divine. I don't know how I would choose, but at least I
One
have
of
some
each.
time. One of each. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Well, let's get started. What's the first step?
The first step is to get your yeast started. And yeast needs a warm water base to activate.
Okay, so you've already heated up this water?
Yes. It's nice warm water. Usually I just put my finger in the water, and if it feels warm, go from that. But technically, the best temperature is 110 degrees. And you have some leeway with that. If the water is 140 degrees, it'll kill the yeast and your bread won't rise. So you just need to make sure it's not too hot.
Not too hot.
Yes. So we mix this good and let it set for 5 minutes and kind of let it start bubbling and activating. All right, and while that's starting, we'll make our cinnamon sugar.
Okay, great.
So the cinnamon sugar really is simple. It's just cinnamon and sugar, as the name implies.
Sugar, got it.
Yeah.
So yes, I suppose if I made cinnamon sugar, I might not put quite as much cinnamon to sugar ratio-wise, but...
Oh, it smells so good already.
Pretty simple, but it's a nice touch on so many things. Toast,
Yes.
dinner rolls we're going to find.
All right, I think that's good. We'll put it with the other toppings.
All right.
Go over here. And this is warmed up milk. In the past, when you didn't have pasteurized milk, you'd have to boil your milk and then let it cool a little bit and add your stuff. So, but with today's technology, you just need to warm it a little bit. And then some salt.
Back to the pink Himalayan.
Yes. And then sugar, which also helps your yeast activate.
Okay.
And some oil, vegetable oil. Okay, we're gonna stir that together. All right, that's ready. Now we just need to wait on the yeast just a couple more minutes and it'll be ready to go.
Perfect.
All right, I think this yeast is ready to pour in with the other stuff.
Okay, now how do you know? I know it's been 5 minutes, but
You can see it's also starting to bubble up a little bit and it rose just a little. So go ahead and pour it into here, the other stuff. And then add the eggs. Then we just whisk it together really well, making sure to break up the eggs, and then we're ready for the flour.
Great.
All right. You gonna put a scoop of flour in for me?
Sure thing. Just this half cup here?
Yeah. And the recipe says 7 cups of flour, but you can do, it's just until it feels right. So it might be a little less. And I do not pack my flour. I do it kind of lighten it up or before I measure it out. So you stir it after each addition.
Okay.
Till it's all stirred. Okay, you can have another scoop, please.
Okay.
And you can do them heaping full if you want. another scoop. Perfect. Okay, I think we need one more scoop and then I need to start kneading it by hand.
Yeah.
Right. You can see when it's kind of hard to stir it with the scoop anymore because it won't hardly stir. That's when you need to start using your hands. And always, like I said, you can use a Bosch or a KitchenAid, but you can also do it by hand, and that's how my mom used to do it. All right. So when you knead it, you kind of put your hands together like this.
Okay.
To make sure it's mixing well. You put another scoop of flour.
Sure thing.
You kind of turn the bowl and rub the edges to make sure you're getting all the flour. And I can take another scoop. All right.
It's almost mesmerizing to watch this.
One time, my mom had this bowl of rising dough on the table and she had to quickly leave and go somewhere. And so I swapped out the bowl and I put a pillow in with the towel on top. And she came home and she like picked up the towel and she's like, it was really funny.
Surprise!
It's a pillow. Dinner rolls, like all bread dough, I think the least amount of flour you can put in makes the best bread because otherwise it'll start getting heavy. Mm-hmm. And especially for dinner rolls, you want it very soft dough. So you can see this stuff is it's feeling soft, it's still sticky. I think we need just a little bit more flour and it'll be good.
I like this.
Mm-hmm. I think that looks good. Just kind of rub the rest in. And you can tell when you can kind of have a clean hand and it doesn't, I mean, this dough is going to stick to your hands just because I want a really soft dough, but it's not just really sticky. Mm-hmm. Then you know you're good. All right, I'm going to wash my hands so I can grease them and finish up.
All right, great.
All right, so my hands are clean, and now I'm gonna make them dirty again. So I put a lot of this grease on my hands so the dough doesn't stick to it.
Got vegetable shortening there. And
yeah. And the goal is to get the dough kind of to where it's not sticking to the bowl and kind of work it into a ball. So you're kneading it a little bit more. Kind of the whole inside bottom part of the bowl is coated with shortening. And it's still sticking a little bit because it's such a soft dough, but it's better than it was. Should make the perfect rolls.
Wonderful.
I grease my hands just a little bit more and try to get this flipped over a little bit. Smooth the top. All right.
You want to show that to the folks
Yes.
at home? They can see.
See how it's kind of smooth? It's not any rough edges. And now it just needs a towel. And the purpose of the towel, if it's rising and it has just fresh air on top of it, it'll get a hard crust. And it's just kind of harder to work in afterwards. So put this towel on and wait till it doubles in size.
Great. And we are back.
Yes, let's look at these dough. Oh, it's perfect for
Looks-
shaping into rolls.
Looks good to me.
You're gonna help me, right?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yes.
So put some shortening on your hands.
All right.
And first of all, we punch down the dough, it's called. So I'm just gonna kind of get the air bubbles out of it and prepare it for shaping. And you see this dough is super soft. I mean, it is
It's just springing right.
perfect,
Yeah.
yes.
I love you that punch down term. That is.
Get kind of violent. All right, so we just, I'll show you how I do it without the dough. So
Okay.
you get a roll of dough and you stick it between your hand like this, kind of in a C shape. Mm-hmm. And when you get it push through as much to where the roll looks about the right size and you squeeze your hand together.
Okay.
And you have a little roll, stick it there.
Okay, let's try.
Yep. And I don't know if other people make their dinner rolls differently. My mom and my mother-in-law both make them this way too. So you kind of shape to where there's a soft top on the piece of dough, and then you squish it through your hand, kind of a clockwise
you make that
motion.
Look very easy.
Then you squeeze it off and put the smooth side on top.
Well, how beautiful is that?
And otherwise, if you don't get it smooth, it'll be kind of, you might get crusty tops where it burns a little bit when it's baking or something like that. Whenever I'm making bread, my girls are always like, Mom, can I make some? Can I make some? And so I always give them a piece and they can shape whatever creation they want to. And they absolutely
that's fun.
love
I bet
it.
they come up with some really fun shapes.
Yes. I mean, they've tried their names, they've tried who knows what all.
I would like to see my name spelled out in dough balls. That sounds good.
Hey, for your birthday.
Okay, let's do it. Who needs a cake?
So you can see when I'm shaping this, you can kind of even hear the air bubbles bursting sometimes. You just want to get all the air out before you shape it into your dough ball. Hey, that one looks good. Nice.
My second try was a little bit nicer. Yeah, if you want to that's fine.
No, that's
we can
fine.
redo mine.
I think we can make 4 in a row though.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a little baby one.
And you usually grease your hands, re-grease it about with every roll, or start sticking
Yeah, I think
to your
I
hands.
made that mistake here of not re-greasing between.
Yeah.
So, yes, do that.
Okay, we're almost done here. They look amazing. And are you ready for trick number 2?
Yes.
So we just get this fork, and to get all the air bubbles out, we hit each roll twice.
Okay. So you punch them, now you're stabbing them.
Pretty much.
This is violent. This is violent.
And this is a very nice amount if you're having guests. If you're not, I would just make these and freeze them, and then you can get them out and make hot ham and cheese, or poppy seed sandwiches are amazing.
Using the sandwich
with
bread.
using them. Yes.
Great idea.
All right, just let them rise maybe 10 minutes until you can see they've poofed up a little bit, and they'll be ready for the oven.
Wonderful.
All right, let's check these things out. Ooh, they look perfectly risen. They're very soft and light. And you can see they've gotten bigger. They're touching now.
Yes, they look
So,
beautiful.
I think they're ready to put in the oven.
Wonderful.
You open the door for me? All right, give it about 17 minutes and get your taste buds ready.
Oh, I'm ready. So these are smelling tremendous right now. Are we
Yes.
close?
Let's check. I think it should be.
All right.
All right.
They look close.
They're nice and brown on the top. And I'll show you my little fork trick for seeing if they're done or not. So if you use a fork and you go in between here, between the roll, and you look in and it looks like bread and it's not doughy, then that's a very good sign that they are done. Otherwise, if you like put your fork in there and you can see this doughy part, you like better stick them back in.
Sure. So we're done
So
then.
I think these are done. And I like to use cold butter, and this is Amish roll butter again.
And you've made it into a stick.
Yes.
Perfect.
I just roll them on top of these to keep the tops nice and soft. Otherwise, they might be a little bit hard.
Well, you had me at dinner roll, but then you mentioned butter, and yeah,
Yes.
it's like icing on a cake, butter on a roll.
Levi loves these dinner rolls, and especially like he puts a slab of butter on them and eats them. But today we also have the amazing cinnamon sugar and the black raspberry jam, which is really good to eat with it.
It will be a hard choice, and I might just have to split it in two and try one of each.
Yes. So if I'm making these a soup for supper, I will serve these hot with them. If I'm having a Sunday lunch, I'll often let them cool completely and then slice them in half, put them in an airtight bag, and they're perfect the next day to eat with your butter and jelly.
They look incredible. And they smell even more incredible, if that's even possible. But
All right, so these, I'll let them cool just a little bit like this, and then you see I have a cooling rack down here. I'll take them out of the pan and just let them, just the bread cool on the cooling rack. And then we're good to go.
if you are interested in learning more about the ingredients, checking out the recipe, we have all of that at DutchCountryKitchen.com. Make sure you go over there and take a look.
And remember, every day is a holiday and every meal is a feast.